More details are released in a Vernon County homicide investigation. What a ruling from a federal judge on stimulus checks could mean for county jail inmates.
The Trump and Biden campaigns are hammering down voter support in the Midwest. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House as the candidates make their closing cases with just 4 days to go until the election.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Investigators have released the identity of a Southwest Missouri murder victim, and they're trying to find her adult son in connection with the case. This is KOIM News at 5. The Vernon County, Missouri Sheriff's Office says the body of 63-year-old Connie Goodwin was discovered Wednesday in the Deerfield area on Quail Road. Neighbors say police were at a Vernon County house close to the intersection of T Highway. Then yesterday, a development in the case out of Hot Springs, Arkansas. Police say they found possible evidence in the back of a pickup in a Hot Springs Walmart parking lot. Through surveillance video, they discovered it had been put in the truck at a hotel the night before. The Hot Springs, Arkansas Police Department is looking for the victim's son, Aaron Goodwin. He's wanted for abandonment of a corpse. They believe he's armed and dangerous. They say he was last seen in Hot Springs, Arkansas. A federal judge rules that eligible inmates must receive stimulus payments. The judgment comes months after the IRS issued guidance that stated inmates were not eligible for payments, and the payments already issued had to be returned. The new judgment reverses that and orders the IRS to alert officials to the change so inmates can apply. That includes local county jails, according to the law firm that filed the suit. The Cherokee County Sheriff's Office has received paperwork from the IRS, but many other jails in our area have not.
This is the first information I've received on this, and it came from Sheriff Groves in Cherokee County. Now, there may be a lot of sheriffs that have received this packet and information and just passed it out to the inmates.
We reached out to the IRS to see if they would confirm that information would be sent to county jails, but the department won't comment on pending litigation. We're going to hear what Sheriff Groves received and how they're getting that information to inmates tonight at 6. Brings us to today's KOIM News Now Instapoll. Today's question is, should county jail inmates be disqualified from getting stimulus checks? You can vote at KOIMNewsNow.com/vote or through the KOIM News Now mobile app. Results are updated live, and we'll be checking in on them periodically throughout KOIM News at 5. We'll have the final results on KOIM News at 6. The number 13 has some negative connotations around it. Many people consider it to be unlucky. However, it's a number you might have to look to find in the city of Joplin when it comes to the streets. There's only one small stretch, about 2/10 of a mile of actual 13th Street. The other several miles of that road are named, not numbered. Is it superstition, or is there a more reasonable explanation? Well, it depends on who you ask.
Well, we have both Marquardt and Jung Boulevard, both are what 13th Street was. And, the original plots has it as 13th Street, but I think it has to do more with superstition probably. And as people developed those neighborhoods, those subdivisions, people wouldn't live on 13th Street, so they made the change.
Tonight at 6, we're going to hear from a community historian on who Jung and Marquardt are and whether or not he believes it's superstition or coincidence. Doug Hetty joins us now with a first look at the weather. Looking pretty nice heading into the weekend.
Yeah, fantastic day for us today after we saw pretty wet weather all week long, and then we got the sunshine that popped out yesterday. But mostly sunny skies, nothing going on. The entire Central Plains look fantastic, and temperatures are great. Most of us are sitting low to mid 60s. And that's very similar to what we're going to see as we head into Halloween as well. We got the southerly winds back at about 5 to 10. Gusts a little bit higher than that, but most of the evening hours look great as we drop back through the 60s, 50s, eventually into lower 40s a little bit later on tonight. But you can see as we go through the evening hours, looks fantastic, clear skies, and then down into lower 40s a little bit later on tonight. Of course, we're going to look at Halloween the rest of the weekend and into next week here in just a bit.
Catch you then. Both presidential candidates are crisscrossing the Midwest today, holding rallies in multiple states. At the same time, the Democratic vice presidential candidate is pushing a get out the vote effort in a Republican stronghold while Vice President Mike Pence is in Arizona. Reporter Skylar Henry has more now from the White House.
President Trump returns to the Midwest with rallies in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
It's cold, but I feel very warm in this group. This is a great group. 4 days from now, we are going to win this state, and we are going to win 4 more great years in the White House.
2020 Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden is also stumping in Minnesota and Wisconsin, but first he went to Iowa.
Your values are baked in. They're Iowa values, they're American values. You value honor, decency, respect, and dignity. You know they all matter.
The Democrats are making a big push Friday in Texas, a state that hasn't turned blue in a presidential election in 44 years. Democratic vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris is in the Lone Star State for multiple campaign events.
You have power, and at election time, that power will be through your vote.
Early voter turnout in Texas has already exceeded the entire turnout in 2016, and the latest CBS News Battleground Tracker poll shows the two candidates running neck and neck.
Now, Texas, we're doing very well.
The country is still 4 days away from choosing the next president, but inauguration preparations are already underway on Capitol Hill, where the platform is under construction. The election winner will be sworn in there in less than 3 months. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Campaigning continues this weekend. Tomorrow, former President Barack Obama is expected to join his former Vice President Joe Biden for a rally in Detroit, Michigan, while President Trump will barnstorm across the key battleground state of Pennsylvania. Still ahead, finding a new job in the pandemic.
Millions who've lost work during the pandemic may not realize they've got the skills for a new career. I'm Naomi Ruckham with advice from the experts.
And next in Health Watch, why experts are recommending the elderly get a high-dose flu vaccine this year. A new study at Cambridge University finds 21% of oncology nurses and 17% of oncology doctors at 3 large British hospitals were infected with COVID-19, and many of them never knew they had the virus. Doctors say increased testing is needed to help prevent spread to oncology patients. Doctors say getting a flu shot is more important than ever during the coronavirus pandemic, especially for people over age 65, because they're at high risk for serious complications from both viruses. Reporter Michael George has more on the high-dose flu vaccine that's recommended for older adults.
Mary Anandano always gets a flu shot.
My husband and I were in our 70s. The older you get, the more inclined you are to have underlying health conditions that put you at a greater risk for complications from having the flu.
She's receiving the high-dose flu vaccine, which has 4 times more antigen than the regular shot.
As we age, our bodies have a bit more difficulty making that antibody response to a regular dose vaccine. So if we expose people who are over the age of 65 to a higher dose of that antigen, they're more likely to make a much more robust response.
If you haven't received your flu shot yet, now is the time. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends getting the vaccine by the end of October. Some pharmacies and doctors are reporting limited supplies of the high-dose vaccine, or that it's no longer in stock. But Dr. Kristen Englund from the Cleveland Clinic says older adults should not delay and take whatever shot is available.
It's really important to get vaccinated against the flu with whatever your pharmacy has. We're starting to get into the flu season right now, so we really don't want people to wait too much longer.
Getting the flu vaccine can reduce a person's risk of illness, hospitalization, and death. Mary knows it's especially important to get her flu shot in the middle of the pandemic.
When so many things are not in our control, it's the easiest thing to do.
She says she's done everything she can to protect herself and her family. Michael George, CBS News.
It can take up to 2 weeks after getting the vaccine for the body to develop the antibodies for protection. Hospital floors may be spreading antibiotic-resistant bacteria to patients. That's according to a new study that finds contamination often starts on floors, then moves to patients' socks, bedding, and nearby surfaces. Researchers say spread can be reduced with more frequent floor cleaning and disinfection. Let's check back in with our KOAM News Now Instapoll. Again, our question today is, should county jail inmates be disqualified from getting stimulus checks? At this point, 90% say yes. You can join in the conversation by voting at KOAMNewsNow.com/vote or through the KOAM News Now mobile app. A little bit later, why Walmart says it's removing guns and ammunition from displays in its stores.
Plus, our temperatures are going to start to warm up a little bit more over the weekend. We're going to look at that coming up next. Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice Friday for us today. Temperatures were fantastic across the region as we have started to warm up quite a bit over the past couple days. In fact, once we got the rain out of here, since yesterday afternoon, it has been pretty good. You can see most of us into the mid-60s, 65 Oronogo, Neosho, Granby at 64, Seneca's at 65. You can work into northeastern Oklahoma, much of the same, even Pittsburgh as well. So very consistent temperatures, very nice temperatures across the entire four-state area. Yates Center 66, 64, Nowata. We have Bella Vista, Anderson also about 64, 65, 63 in Nevada. It looks great as we go through the evening hours. South winds, they're going to increase a little bit tonight into tomorrow, but still look pretty good. South winds at about 5 to 10, a little bit stronger for us tomorrow. But crystal clear blue skies. We're looking east from the rooftop of our station, sitting at 65, southwesterly winds at about 5 to 10. Humidity is pretty low. It's at about 37%. So as we go through the evening hours, we do have some high school football. It's going to be fine. We're going to have clear skies. We're going to be dry. It is going to get a little bit chilly as our temperatures start to drop off. We'll drop into the 50s and then eventually into the 40s later on this evening. And then I think we'll bottom out probably into lower 40s a little bit later on tonight. But clear skies all day long. Hardly even a cloud in the sky. In fact, you can look across the entire Central Plains and we look good. Nothing is going on. We can expand through the whole country. We have the system that was giving us the rain heading away from us. But if you go out to the west, there's not that much going on. We don't have any big storm systems which are brewing. We do have this weak little wave right here out across western parts of Montana that will start to slide in for us late tomorrow night. But besides that, it looks fine. So lower 40s tonight, pretty much clear skies. We're going to go mostly sunny skies for us during the daytime hours tomorrow. We're going to warm into the 60s during the afternoon. So about 4:30 or 5, I think most of us are going to be 64, 65, 66 degrees. Here's a cold front. This front will cool us down a bit by the time we head into Sunday. It's going to slide through tomorrow night. It will give us a few clouds, but I think we'll stay dry. And then behind it, we'll cool down a little bit more on Sunday as we drop back to about 38 to 40 degrees. Then Sunday is going to be okay. We're going to have a northerly wind. It is going to be a little bit cooler, but again, we're going to have plenty of sunshine as we go into the mid 50s for highs compared to the mid 60s like we're going to see tomorrow. So let's go down the road. Let's go into next week. Of course, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday look pretty good. We'll get a few clouds in here by midweek. And then all the way through the week, I think it's going to be pretty quiet, just not too much going on. Late next week, we'll start to get a storm system that is going to get going, and that will start to affect us by the time we head into next weekend and then early the following week. But for the next several days, it looks fantastic. 64 tomorrow. Cooler on Sunday, 54, of course. We'll drop the clocks back 1 hour tomorrow night. Monday, 62. Look at Election Tuesday, 72 degrees, sunny skies, and then sitting near 70 most of next week.
Beautiful forecast.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
Thanks, Doug. Coming up, some tips to find another job after being laid off because of the pandemic. First, though, we honor a local member of the armed forces. David Reinhardt joined the U.S. Army in 2009. The Seneca, Missouri native has been stationed in Afghanistan, and we salute Specialist David Reinhardt, a four-state hero. Walmart says it's removed ammunition and firearms from displays at its U.S. stores. The world's biggest retailer made the decision based on isolated incidents of, quote, civil unrest. Walmart cited the safety of its workers and customers. The action comes as Philadelphia grapples with looting and violent protests after officers shot and killed Walter Wallace Jr. New data on consumer spending shows that Americans loosened their wallets slightly in September. According to the Commerce Department, spending rose 1.4% last month. Remaining government stimulus helped prop up households in September. Around 22 million Americans lost their jobs in March and April when the pandemic hit. About half are back to work. But millions are struggling to find a job, and many of them believe being unemployed is hurting their chances. Reporter Naomi Ruckham explains.
Scott Cresswell spent 20 years working in the hospitality industry, but was laid off after the coronavirus shut business down. Finding a new job has been difficult.
I think it's hard right now to sell yourself to employers with the amount of options they have.
Millions are having the same problem in a tight job market. A survey from LinkedIn found 84% of Americans believe there is a stigma associated with being unemployed, and 67% think it's impacting their chances of getting hired. But the vast majority of hiring managers say they would hire someone laid off because of the pandemic. LinkedIn editor-in-chief Dan Roth.
So that stigma is something we put on ourselves that doesn't have to be there.
Roth says people having trouble finding a job in their field may be unaware they have skills that can apply to other industries.
One of my favorite examples is of these transferable skills is I talked to an insurance company at one point. They said that when they are trying to hire insurance adjusters, they try to hire bartenders because bartenders have a skill of getting people to tell stories.
Bartender Jenna Hensley was let go from her job when the pandemic hit.
And I decided to go ahead and officially make the career change, and it was due to necessity at the time.
Hensley became a realtor in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and says after a few months working on the new job, she's starting to thrive. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
The LinkedIn survey also found 46% of unemployed Americans lied about being out of work. This year, Halloween is more trick than treat. Only 58% of Americans will be celebrating the spooky day, down from 68% last year, according to a survey from the National Retail Federation. But in an attempt to maintain some normalcy, another survey also showed that parents will overspend on sweets for their kids this Halloween. Those celebrating will spend, on average, about $92. Final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to look at what information the Cherokee County Sheriff received from the IRS about stimulus checks for inmates. Plus, crews in Joplin break ground on a new home for pregnant women and young mothers. And we're going to have highlights from the Missouri Class 4 Softball State Championship as Webb City looks to win their third title in program history. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. During a heated presidential campaign, an Oakland neighborhood is putting on a much friendlier race, I guess friendly, with dogs and cats vying to become the mayor of the street. The 55th Street mayoral race started with one incumbent cat named Wally running unopposed, but a few canines and felines pounced at the opportunity to make this cat and dog race competitive. Among the candidates, a Shiba Inu named Mimi, a tabby cat named Betty, and a pit bull mix named Macy. It's a dog-eat-dog world of politics out there. Let's take one last quick look at our KOAM News Now Insta poll. We asked you, should county jail inmates be disqualified from getting stimulus checks? The numbers have changed a bit. 85% though still saying yes, they should be disqualified. You still have time to vote at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or through the KOAM News Now mobile app. We're going to have the final results on the poll. KOAM News at 6. Checking back now with Doug Heddy.
All right, it's going to be a chilly but a nice evening for us as we drop back into the 50s, eventually into lower 40s. 64 tomorrow, so Halloween looks fantastic.
Thanks for joining us. See you at 6. Let's take care of ourselves and each other.